This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are hanging out talking about the NBA. Yes, an all NBA focused episode, talking about everything from the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals and how these teams are surprisingly the teams that no one thought would be there 5 months ago. We also discuss how they get there. Is this the end of a super team era? And also, we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark, and is she truly being treated poorly, or is this just what is happening now in the WNBA? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben. That's Josh. And we are in May, near the end of May. It's crazy. My birthday's in like 10 days, Josh. It's kind of crazy. June's going to be here before we know it, which means a lot of things. Means NBA Finals is around the corner, which we'll be talking about a lot about the NBA. But we are going to avoid topics such as how the Reds just suck, and they're going to continue to suck. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I had to get that anger out, you know?
You did, and I guess that also means that we don't get to talk about Cleveland, how they just can't
we can
lose
skip by
games now.
that. Yeah, we can skip by that. We can talk about how the Royals are 10 games above 500, and yet the Reds can't win a game.
Phillies with the best record in the league, but have only played one winning team all season.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But a lot of things happening. But Josh, I want to ask you first, how was your weekend? How was your past weekend? How was your week? How you feeling?
Past weekend was good. Got to spend a little bit of time up on Lake Erie.
Ooh, I was good.
With some friends. Good. Yeah, friend has a campsite in the area, so we just went over there and hung out for the evening. Yeah, checked out a little bit of baseball. It's like I said, it's tough to
very sweet
avoid the Cleveland Indians right now on TV anytime they're there. Why you get to watch any games, but Lindor had his reunion in Cleveland, the first time he's been back in 5 years. So it's a little glimpse into what my weekend looked like. How about yours, sir?
Well, we won our fourth straight game to start the season. Now there's only 5 regular season games, so it's not like it's crazy, but we won 31-3. We beat our rival. Last year they beat us 48-7. Or 46-7. No, 52-7. It was 52-7. And we gave some payback. Actually, there was a point as an offense coordinator where I was like, I want to run the clock out. You know how it is, Josh. You get to the fourth quarter, you're up big, you just want to run the clock out, put the backups in. Nope, my head coach said, we're going to run the score up on them. That's what they did last year. And I'm like,
cool.
So it was weird because I'm at one hand, I have players saying, hey, can we slow down? Can we just like end the game? We've played 3 games in 3 weeks. Then I have a head coach who wants to just murder them. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the podcast, but I mean it not realistically, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that was great. We had a great turnout. There's a lot of fans there actually, which was awesome. And now we have a break, and then we play the other undefeated team in our league for the number 1 seed in the playoffs coming up. So it's a really good shot to get number 1 seed, which will be good in the summer as the playoffs roll on.
All right. Also, 3 games in 3 weeks. That's like what the
NFL brutal,
does,
dude. I'm not kidding you.
Why is it more brutal?
Season. This is our season. I'm going to tell you. We started a season, right? We had a game. We had a week off. Then we had this 3-game stretch. We might have had 2 weeks off. I cannot remember off the top of my head. It might have been 2 weeks. 3-game stretch. Now we don't have another game for a month. I'm not kidding you. Our next game is June 8th. My brother's birthday.
You're not
so
playing
like 3
one
weeks.
Game once a week.
No, their schedule is it's so bizarre. Like I'm not kidding you. We have 3 weeks off until our next game. Then we have a month off until playoffs. It is the most bizarre schedule I've ever been a part of, even more than high school. It's wild.
Sure, whoever's negotiating that contract, the NFLPA would love to talk to them.
Oh, I'm sure.
These 18 regular season games, 1 bye week, and then
basically
they
have
go
like
right
3 bye weeks.
Yeah,
we have 3 bye weeks, but like it's just crazy. Our guys are like banged up. Dudes playing with like broken thumbs. You know, it's classic old football. You know.
Yeah, just as we remembered it growing up.
Yes, you know the football that we remember. You know, not the football that is now. But speaking of playoffs, Josh, I know. Well, first off, we do gotta give a shout out to Quentin Green. I don't know if I haven't mentioned this on the show, but at this moment, they did lose. I think last night or today, they lost by 1, but they're down 2-1 in the finals of the Austrian League Championship. So, hats off to Quentin Green and his squad over there in Austria. in Graz, Austria. They are a few wins away if they can kind of get a comeback, and they could win the Austrian League title. So I think that's kind of cool. Shout out a former guest of ours on the show.
Yeah, well done, Q.
But anyways, you can then roll into your NBA talk.
Playoffs, you say.
Yes,
So
yes.
we got the NBA Western Conference Finals are all set. We've got one game in under our belt already with all of them. Just in case you guys haven't been paying attention, we got Boston Celtics and Indiana Pacers out in the East, Dallas Mavericks and Minnesota Timberwolves
the most
out in the West.
Unrecognized finals matchups that no one saw coming. If you said you saw this coming, you're bizarre, because there's no way.
If we went back 5 years in time, or even 10 years in time, we don't have to really go back that far. And you said these are the teams. It's like, okay, dude, like 5 years ago, we're past the Dirk Nowitzki stage for the Mavericks. We're watching the Timberwolves consistently be in the draft lottery. The Pacers are, I think Victor Oladipo's over here at the time, but that's about all they have. And then the Celtics got young Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So it's like, okay.
And it's the first conference finals that that no MVP winner is a part of. It's the first conference finals,
which is also wild and just speaks to what a team effort these have been, and also just
how the times are changing.
Yeah, I think this goes to show that we're really past the super team era, Ben, and we can discuss like, oh, but the Timberwolves got Rudy Gobert and
it's not a super team.
Towns.
It's really not.
Exactly, it's not.
It's really not. They might get paid a lot of money, but they're not like a super team.
The Mavericks, nobody wanted Kyrie Irving. They wanted him to be done with the NBA.
Can we talk about you brought it up, so I thought we'd mention it. I believe you sent me something today on our messages that a post that you might have created about a year ago.
Yeah, so it was February 2023. I think this might have been after the Kyrie Irving trade.
Probably, I'm guessing, yeah.
ESPN shared a graphic with the possible starting lineup for the Dallas Mavericks that had Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Tim Hardaway, Christian Wood, and Dwight Powell. Some of those guys aren't on the team anymore and don't start anymore, but they shared that like that was going to scare some people, and I just threw it up on my story with the caption, "A lineup nobody's scared of."
And look at it now, man. Look at it.
Here we are now. Yep. Kyrie Irving, I think, is proving a lot of people wrong, including myself, which
they proved me wrong too. I'll be honest. Like when he left Cleveland, it went downhill fast. And
yeah, he just really didn't show any care for winning necessarily, or even being there for his team. All the off the court stuff and opinions that he has, I don't care about. I don't think that should keep anybody out of the league, but just his work ethic and
some would say that
care to win, it didn't seem like was there.
Some would say that his effort was flatlined.
Oh, I see.
Dang it! It took you so long to get that joke.
A little too long. Yeah,
that's my fault. It was such a flat Earth joke right there. If you didn't know what I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about, go look it up. It's hilarious.
But the super teams that we think about right now are the Suns, and I'd be furious if I was a Suns fan. Lakers tried to be, the Clippers. Definitely in there, but
Denver. I mean, no, Denver's not even really.
Denver's all drafted. They're all drafted, unique and true. I'd say.
Well, even look at the East Coast. I mean, you have. I'm trying to think of there's not really any super teams in the East. Not really.
Not anymore. No.
Not really. No.
Brooklyn's house is cleared out. Philly just has Embiid.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's really not. I mean, even
Orlando's
the Cavs are not.
Cavs are kind of put together. Just with the addition of Donovan.
But I think what it's showing is that GMs are getting smart and not just spending like $200 million on two players. And they're like, well, I can spend $200 million
or selling the farm for a guy that's going to leave them in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Suns fans right now. You were speaking of the Suns fans before we went off the tangent.
I'd be pissed if I was a Suns fan.
Did you see that the next first round pick they have is like 2030, like two or something like that?
Yeah, some
and I'm sitting there going,
yeah.
Like, I don't understand these GM minds. Like, look, basketball is one of those sports where it doesn't matter if you have the best team. We saw with the Cavs playing the best record ever in the regular season, and the Cavs end up winning that series. Like, it's a game of momentum, and don't risk your whole future. The Thunder are doing it great, man. They have 30 draft picks in the next 5 years, right? So it's like, these are the things you have to think about, and I think that's what I think that makes that post so fascinating, is because we all were still in the weird way, I think, still thinking of super teams like, oh, this is not really that scary. But look, some of these teams like the Denver Nuggets, the Pacers, the Cavs, like they don't have like a ton of dudes that are like, ooh, scary. It's like, oh, but they get the job done. And that's what you need in the game of basketball.
I think so. Yeah, we're definitely, I think, past that era. And just speaking of some of these teams, how we've gotten here, just looking at Minnesota, dude, and the roster that they got with Anthony Edwards leading the way.
Mike Conley, the most underrated player of all time. Like,
Most underrated player of all time, exactly. Rudy Gobert, consistent defensive player of the year winner, but never really viewed as a huge impact player in the league. Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, I guess the anchor,
I mean, he's been there for a long
guy that's been there waiting for an opportunity like this to happen. Yeah. Flipping over to the Mavericks, Luka's gotten close. For the most part, he's had to do it almost all by himself up to this point. Yeah.
Because he had Dirk at the end of Dirk's career,
Yeah, exactly. And you were wondering I was wondering if Luka was going to eventually leave, if Dallas wasn't going to go and do something about it, because this is very kind of unlike Mark Cuban, not being competitive, or at least putting in effort, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen Dallas try to get some guys, and it may not work out the most, but it's never been from a lack of effort. It just seemed like the Kyrie Irving move was like, that's the best you can do, Mark. Like, what are we doing out here? But it's working. Kyrie Irving, a ball dominant guard, and Luka Doncic, also a ball dominant guard, is somehow working. And I never expected an offense like that to be able to flourish. And then everyone else around them is filling in pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's just, I think what this shows me that there's still hope that sports can still be the competitive sports, Josh, that we watched when we were kids. Like I still think that there could be a Detroit Pistons team that is just defensive minded that wins a title, right? Or we watch an NFL game and it's a team that is just plays defense, runs the ball well, might not throw it a lot. Like I don't know, it gives me a weird hope that like there are still these teams in professional sports that are not just jacked because of money, but like are actually put together with a mindset of let's play as a team. And I think maybe you were too, maybe at times where I felt like sports were getting away from this building a team rather than just let's go buy a bunch of dudes that don't like each other and put them together, if that makes sense.
Right.
And that's what I feel like we do. Like, and I love seeing this because like Mike Conley, like, dude, Mike Conley has been one of the most consistent point guards in the NBA for 17 years and gets no credit, nothing. Right. And even there's other guys on this team, Cat and some of these other guys, it's like, and you look at the same thing with the Dallas Mavericks. Like these guys are finally getting their shot, and it's well deserved. It's not just, hey, I went and signed a big contract with another 5 superstars, all right, aka Kevin Durant. Like I earned my spot, right? We earned what we got, and I think that's what makes sports so beautiful. And I think we're now at that point again where sports has truly become beautiful again, where teams are just playing their best and they're getting where they need to be.
It could be a generational shift too with the players. We've mentioned on the show how some of these younger guys coming in just seem to really actually love basketball.
Yeah, they do.
And playing it. And so maybe there's a little bit of a want to do it on their own.
Less Ben Simmons and James Harden types.
Yeah, you got it. And then we got to talk about Boston too, because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been here for quite a while now, it seems like, and we've wondered.
They always get so close. They're always on the cusp.
Yeah, the two of that original Boston young core, and then some of those guys they filled in around. Yeah, I was just going to get to those guys like Al Horford, 37 years old. Nobody's counting him as a part of his super team. Drew Holiday, 33 years old. Nobody's really counting him. He's been consistent, but he's not ever been in that kind of discussion. And then Kristaps Porzingis, solid, but always injury prone, and I think still missing some games right now.
He'll be out until game 4 is what they're saying.
Yeah. But I don't think anybody's looking at Boston calling them a super team either. But Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's got to be one of the best duos in the league right now. And they've been playing together for a while, so by now they've definitely got that chemistry built up, and they get to reap the rewards of that.
Yeah, the Celtics, I mean, it's truly the one really good team that made the I think everyone thought was going to make
the one that maybe nobody's shocked by, the 1 seed in the East, right?
Like, I mean, you look in obviously you have the 6 seed, and which is very shocking, but even if you look at the Pacers, I mean, they don't have a team that's like, oh, a bunch of studs, but Miles Turner's been there for ages, it feels like. I feel like he's been there forever.
Been a lifelong
Hal Burton, who's played for the freaking Kings. Anybody that leaves the Kings, you might as well just be happy anywhere in California, let's be honest. And, you bring him in and you have some of these other pieces that are there. It's, to me, it makes this like almost more interesting for me to watch this year. Like I haven't watched the NBA playoffs in probably like fully there's like watch game to game in probably like 4 or 5 years. This is going to be the first year where I'm like, man, I do want to catch some highlights of these games. I do want to be able to watch some of these games because it's like it's fascinating. Like we could literally have a champion that's not. Let's just take the Celtics out. It could be the Minnesota Timberwolves, world champions.
Wild, dude.
Or you're gonna have the stinking Dallas Mavericks again, or if in the crazy world, the Indiana Pacers, right? Like just it's so cool to see, and I'm so excited that this is the matchups that we got.
Yeah, you mentioned Miles Turner. We got Tyrese who's leading the charge there, and then Pascal Siakam, who
That guy's
kind of
been on
been
every side of it.
yeah, kind of an afterthought after the Toronto finals, but he's still playing in some meaningful basketball games. But yeah, we're both we got these series underway right now. Right now, Dallas is up 1-0 and Boston is up 1-0. Any I think we're still early enough in the series that it's not too late to talk about it, but any early indicators? I think I would guess we're both leaning Boston in the East, but the West series, I feel like that could go either way, honestly.
Yeah, I really do think Boston. I just like I know that also Indiana's dealing with injuries. I know like Turner's hurt. I know there's a couple other guys banged up. Losing Porzingis is kind of big for the Celtics, but I mean, you have Jason Tatum and Brown. I'm not worried about them. I'm not saying they're going to sweep, but I think it's going to be a pretty clean series for them, which gives them rest for the finals. I can see the West series going to the 7 games. Honestly, I can see it going 7 games. Um, but as I've been watching, Luka Doncic is heating up, and I'm just going to tell people if he's heating up, that's scary because you also have Kyrie Irving who's been playing lights out. You have a bunch of role guys that just know their role, right? And I think Josh, we've talked about this. Like in a good team, the role guys know their role. They don't overstep that bound. They know, hey, I'm a shooter. That's what I do. I'm a contributor. That's what I do. Right? I'm a rebounder, whatever. So for me, I just think I mean, I want either of these teams to make it. So honestly, I don't really mind either team, but I think there's something about Doncic taking over that thinks that they could pull away. But again, I think it's gonna be like 4-3. So I'm gonna go with Dallas, but I easily could see Minnesota coming through.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Dallas too for the
Their
reasons you
defense has
said.
been good, very good.
I mean, Minnesota in the series before just took Denver down, but for some reason it just looked like Denver didn't really care about that series
No, they didn't really care.
as it went on. The what was it, 45 or 55 point loss they had or something like that in one of the games. They blew a 20-point lead in another game. It was just like this is so weird that Denver's just playing this lackluster and Minnesota's picking up this momentum. And that's not to take anything away from Minnesota. But I'm with you on Dallas. I think that Luka's really heating up, and this might be his moment to be able to, kind of become what Dirk was for this city. Honestly, mostly just the only guy on that team for a while, and I mean to an extent, still kind of. We mentioned Kyrie and some of these other guys around, but when you think of Dallas Mavericks, you really think of Luka and not too many other people. And if he can get you past OKC, and then he can get you past Minnesota, it's gonna be a fun finals. I've been pulling for Luka for a while.
I really love his
Like I've already
game. I
said,
love
I
his
feel
game,
like
man.
he hasn't had a whole lot of help to get to this point, and he's finally getting it, and it's gonna be fun. But yeah, Minnesota, definitely nothing to overlook. We mentioned Gobert, we mentioned Cat, we mentioned Anthony Edwards over there. It's gonna be a fun series, and I could see it going 7 games, but I think I'll lean Dallas in the 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just too easy to just see what Doncic is doing, man. Like Doncic is just phenomenal. You know what he reminds me of, Josh? And I was thinking about this the other day. Doesn't he remind you of that like old guy when you're playing pickup basketball? He's not more athletic than you. Like he's not like he's probably the same athlete as you. He's not stronger than you necessarily. He's just so much smarter. And
So much smarter, so much more skilled.
he just makes every move. I mean, the way he creates separation. LeBron James and JJ Redick talked about this. The way he just creates separation when he's tight, it's fascinating to me. Like the way he can just create separation within a like one dribble. It's just that's how much of a threat he is. And again, I hope I can be him when I'm 65 and I can just be that kind of smart player on the court.
Regular season leader for Dallas in points, Luka Doncic, 33.9. Regular season leader in rebounds, Luka Doncic, 9.2. Regular season leader in assists, Luka Doncic, 9.8.
The dude is only, by the way, he's not like
He's kind of Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, he's not like 6'10", 7 foot. Like people forget that. Like he's only like 6'6",
6'7" is
6'5".
what ESPN
Yeah,
lists
I
him
mean,
at.
that might be a stretch. I don't think he's quite 6'7". I've seen him stand against some guys that are 6'7", and I'm like, you know how they do that. But
Yeah.
I think what they are missing is one really good big man. If they could somehow find that in the offseason, oh man, you imagine that
Porzingis could have
mixture.
been that guy, but
But I just think he
we
doesn't fit
understand the
that
health.
offense. But he also didn't fit that offense, I felt. I think you need just a bruiser that can give you 15 and 10, a game consistently.
That could be the missing piece, yeah. We'll see
I'm
what
telling you, Jokic and Doncic together would be wild. Or
that would
Embiid,
be.
have Embiid down there with Doncic.
That could be your bruiser. Uh, so to end the NBA talk, I think we got some all NBA rosters to discuss as well. I'm gonna go ahead and pull them up here so I don't mess them up. But I believe, speaking of Luka was a guard along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For forwards, we had Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, center, Nikola Jokic.
Shocking. Not shocked. Like
Shocking as in it's like this, that's crazy that we've really moved past the era of like our NBA or even like the generation after that. But I mean, all these guys I was looking through, I was like, is there really anyone that doesn't belong on here? Because usually I always got bones to pick,
well,
and
it's because
this year I really
it's
don't.
people that never like watch the game and they just like, oh, that's my favorite player, so I'm gonna put him on there.
Like, remember when Mark Gasol was like first
Oh
team
my
All
gosh.
NBA with a roster with like LeBron, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and stuff, and
Just
it was
it
like,
looks
yeah,
wrong,
one of
man.
these guys isn't like the others.
It just looks wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say why. It just looks wrong. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think at this point I don't really care about all NBA because I feel like sometimes it's just like I don't know. It's a great thing to give, but I think it shows more on what you do on the court, I think, as a team. So that's always why I've always had issues with the all NBA, but that's just my old school mentality. But LeBron did make all NBA, I think, second team. I think was it second
Third team.
Third team, which means that's now he's the oldest all NBA selection ever. And he's also the youngest ever. And so the man just keeps playing. And he's going to have JJ Redick, his podcast co host, as his head coach. So maybe that means that one day Josh will be my head coach in pickleball
And then
or curling. I don't know.
and then maybe his son as a teammate if this scouting report proves to be false in some sense.
Okay, before we, obviously we're not going to give predictions for the finals until the finals happen because Josh and I are always wrong. Till it obviously is set up. But can we go over that scouting report? I think that's a great topic. Can we go over the scouting report because
Yeah, so it is fun.
we do want to preface this by saying that we both agree that LeBron Jr. has been so unfairly been like treated so unfairly by the media. I think there's been so much hype with this kid. This kid has never been able to be, I think, a basketball player. I think he's always been in the shadow of his dad. And I don't think it's not his fault or LeBron's fault. I think it's just generally the way the media has made him feel the pressure. That's why I think he struggled his first year at USC. I just think he never felt like I don't think he felt as comfortable as what he could be, and that's why I think this Sky report shows a lot that like he just needs to go to a school in the middle of nowhere, away from all the limelights, and just work on his craft. Like go to Cedarville University, all right, spend time at Cedarville, all right, for 3 years, and then go to the NBA.
Yeah, when you read some of this stuff, it's just like, okay,
It makes sense. It makes
what are we
sense.
doing here? Yeah. So NBA Scout says he's a positional athlete, doesn't function as an elite athlete, should be a point guard based on his size, but he can't run an offense. Handicapped as a shooting guard because he can't shoot. 0 for 4 on threes one day, 1 for 3 the other. Needs screens to create space, and his only scoring came on paint touch floaters. He can only go left. His strength is supposed to be defensively, but he's a switch matchup. Every bigger player that switched onto him scored. His comp is a poor man's Davion Mitchell. Oof. He is not an NBA prospect. And then another scout said, if the Lakers don't draft him, I don't think anyone will draft him.
And I'll be honest, Josh, with that. Like, one of the things that popped out was they're right. Like, I think these stupid highlight reels just have him looking, like they even say in the caption, LeBron Jr. is looking amazing. His vertical and all this looking amazing. It's like,
or they just like put a video of him
yeah.
running around cones.
And like for me, I'm sitting there like, this kid's not getting a fair shot. I think, and I believe this, and this is where I will fault LeBron, is I think LeBron is pushing him to be an NBA player. I don't truly believe if Bronny seriously like looked at himself in the mirror, I don't think Bronny goes, I'm an NBA ready player. He might. But I can't, like, I've watched enough of his film to go, this guy's going to get man-eaten in the NBA. Like, he's literally, you know what he's becoming? He's going to become Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, you know Giannis, like he literally is, he's been told by many NBA players, they've interviewed many NBA players, they said he's awful. He would never make an NBA roster if it wasn't for Giannis. Right? So it's like, what I'm worried about is that he's going to make it to the NBA because of his dad, and then he's never going to gain that unless his dad's still in the league, you know, or his dad has control of a team. Like, to me, the best thing for him is to go back to college somewhere, D2, you know, NAIA for crying out loud, or even another small D1 school, but he needs to get himself away from LA. Like, that's where he needs to go. Like, get himself away, focus on basketball, and then come back. And that's my thoughts. I don't know about you, Josh, but it's sad that the expectation we put on him is so high. And yet I don't even think when he was in high school, he was ever going to reach it. You know, he's barely 6'2". He might be just 6'1", to be honest. And I think, I hate to say his brother has more potential. His brother might have more potential than him. And it's like, I don't know about you, but those are my thoughts that run through my brain.
Yeah, I mean, we see Skyline reports all the time that end up being like freezing cold takes, and this very well could be one. But I think everything you said is pretty accurate. I think that if you watch LeBron James Jr. in college, you can clearly tell he's not NBA ready. So why is his dad telling people in media interviews that he's NBA ready, could play with the Lakers right now and stuff like that? So it's just like he doesn't have the best circle around him, and I think LeBron's been, at least from what we've seen, a good dad for his kids.
Yeah, of course.
But this is one of those times where it's like, yeah, nobody's perfect, and this isn't really good advice. I think he's doing this because his dad told him he was ready, and everybody can see he's not ready. Like, a lot of these things on here, I think, are pretty true, and we know that the scoring isn't really there. You can look at the stats to back that up, and people will say, well, it's because he's more of a defensive focused guy. You should care more about those things. But yeah, then you look at here and it's like, okay, every bigger guy that he gets switched to scores on him or something like that. It's just not ready. I'll be shocked if anybody does draft him unless it's to get LeBron on a cheap contract, but very much so. Could go back to college if he's not drafted, because he didn't sign an agent. He's still in the transfer portal as far as the NCAA goes, and could go somewhere else to try to give it a little bit more time before coming to the NBA. But yeah, I hope the best for him, but I think he's going to need more time, way more time.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to need one of those things where I think it's going to take him, and he might have been just kind of like, I hate to say Lonzo, is it not Lonzo Ball? Not LaMelo, LiAngelo Ball. He might be like that. Right, where he ends up playing in the G League for like 2 to 3 years, and he goes in the overseas, and maybe he stops playing. I'm not saying that I want Bronny James to like fail. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that this kid has not been able to develop as a basketball player or even have confidence, I even think, because he's been told by everyone his whole life that you have to follow your dad's footsteps. Now, dad didn't really help it by naming him LeBron James Jr. Like, that doesn't really help you separate from that. but again, you can have your own thoughts on LeBron and how he parents or how he is as a person. That's okay. I'm not trying to point that out. What I'm pointing out is that like it's obvious by NBA scouts who are paid to do what they do that he's not ready. And if he doesn't take that advice, I think he's going to really struggle and he's going to waste the opportunity he has to pretty much if he went to any D2 school, he'd start. Even most small D1 schools, he'd probably have a chance to start. Like use that opportunity, get better, and then get ready for the league.
Yeah, I think that's a great plan right there. Maybe he'll never be NBA ready, and that'll be okay. I mean,
Look at
it's a
Michael
lot of
Jordan's
pressure to
sons.
have your dad. Michael
Look at Michael
Jordan's sons didn't
they
make it
sucked.
either. Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
And one of them was dating I think it was
Scottie Pippen's ex-wife,
which is
Marcus
just weird.
Jordan.
But
Yeah,
you know,
very weird.
just weird.
Yeah, man. Pretty much covers NBA for us, say, right? We
yeah,
want
but
to talk we still had some basketball talk though.
Yes, we
because
did. JB Bickerstaff, we can talk about that as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's breaking news
JB
today as we're recording this.
Yes. JB Bickerstaff fired. We assumed that if they lost
we actually both
the
said
first
this.
round, we assumed if they lost the first or second round, Donovan Mitchell was going to go out, but we thought that beating Orlando in the first round would save JB's job at least, but not the case.
It's the opposite.
Cleveland will be looking around for another coach. And
do you feel it's the opposite? I mean, I'll say this. I think this is a Donovan Mitchell went into the GM's office and said, look, either JB goes or I go. And I think now, do I know if all what was said that JB and him had a lot of, differences in opinion or whatever? Do I believe they're going to trade Garland because Donovan Mitchell? I don't think Mitchell has that much. I don't think he cares that much as what they're making it seem like. I think he's more, but I do believe there was probably some friction. And also, he had enough talent, man. He had enough talent to beat the Magic, not the Magic, the
Knicks.
The Knicks, the Celtics, right?
Oh, right.
I think like if you pay the guy to do his job, and I think the last 2 years they've underwhelmingly played poorly. Like I think more than this year, last year was their chance and they blew it. And I think that they probably last year said, hey, this is your, and I think it was a winner, kind of winner bust type thing. Now, not all the players showed up to play well in the postseason, but am I surprised? Maybe a little. I thought maybe they'd give him one more year. But do I think this has a lot to do with Donovan Mitchell being a free agent coming up? Yeah. I think this is like, hey, we're going to do whatever we can to keep you. They're saying they're going to get Frank Vogel, or that's one of the top. Like, please no, just no. I've heard some good names that are possibilities, but I am a little shocked that they didn't decide to keep JB on for at least one more year, give him another shot. But I also understand that like this is a business, and maybe they feel like as a organization they need to go a different way. And if you can maintain most of the players that you had, then I'm okay with it. But if this causes them to be a shift and then Donovan Mitchell actually wanted him there, then that's when it becomes more of a problem.
Yeah, that would be cool if they did this, that Donovan would stay. But I would have thought they had another year with him too, because you can look at the timeline of things and it's like he's gotten them further each season he's been there. So when you usually see that steady progress, you got job security. But it also seems like Ben in the NBA, the head coach doesn't really matter all that much. There's a handful of guys you can count on maybe one hand that really do have command in the locker room and the respect of everybody and actually do
most of these guys
games.
Are like assistant coaches we've never heard of. Like most of these,
most of them are assistant coaches we've never heard of that got superstars that win the games, and their job is to just stay out of the way and manage egos.
Pretty much, it's like a substitute teacher, basically.
Yeah. So, it's not like anybody was looking at JB Bickerstaff as a top 10 or top 15 coach in the league, but I was shocked. Yeah, I was. Yeah. I thought that winning that first round series actually got him another chance, but if this does turn out to be the case, that Donovan's like, I actually do like it in Cleveland, and I think we can do something here, but I think we're limited by our head coach. And they're like, done, fired. And then
LeBron's done the same thing. So,
Yes, it's very common superstar behavior. But it also wouldn't be a shocker if Donovan was like, that coach has to go. They fire him, and then Donovan's like, I decided I want to go to New York anyways. And then we lose both of them. But yeah, I guess that's my thoughts. Surprised, but I don't think it's going to affect us all too much.
No, I don't either. I think whoever comes in is just basically maintaining order. Yeah, I think anyone that comes here, I think they're going to have a lot of talent to work with, and that's what's I think important in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Now I think we're done with NBA talk, but we aren't done with basketball just yet.
No, we're not. We are not.
In case you guys haven't been paying attention, Caitlin Clark and the WNBA are underway.
You mean WNBA is under the way? I mean, supposedly people are complaining that there's not enough people that watch the games, and I'm like, there's a reason why.
They just set some viewership records for individual games, and this is the reason why.
I mean,
Indiana Fever haven't won a single game yet, though. Her team, they're 0-5. She's had a couple big games,
they only play like what,
not
30
so good games.
They only play like 30
It's a short season, yeah. I don't know how many exactly, but yeah, and it's also just, I think, what is it, 12 teams in the league?
Yeah.
Or 16, maybe. Something like that. But the reason we're talking about Caitlin Clark is because she's a straight white woman for the most part, according to a lot of people in the media, Ben.
That makes a big difference.
We have a quote from Sonny Hostins here.
Citations
from The
out.
View. Don't worry, we watch The View and make sure to fill you guys in on everything that they say on there.
We watch The View all the time
because nobody else would know what they say otherwise. But Sonny Hostins says that Caitlin Clark's popularity comes from pretty privilege and white privilege. Also, Jameel Hill, another
lovely person,
famous media personality, I guess, for reasons that don't involve being good at her job, says we would all be very naive if we didn't say race and her sexuality played a role in her popularity. So to me, Ben, this tells me two things.
Yeah.
One, it further fuels the stereotype that women hate seeing other women succeed, or at least be better than them. And two, you can't be a successful woman in sports unless you're a black lesbian.
It's a pretty strong argument.
It sucks. Like the WNBA, all these same people have been saying that people should be watching the WNBA simply because we should be empowering female athletes. And it's like, okay, well, it's not a good product, but you don't have any superstars. And Caitlin Clark's like, I will put the WNBA on my back and carry this league, up to the ranks.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, cool. But then all the other women are like,
this is fascinating to me because
you're white and you're pretty and you're straight. So no, somebody else. We don't like you. Kick her out of the league and let's just let the WNBA go back to crap.
This is the thing. I mean, Josh is passionate about this one.
It's hilarious.
I think the Crane Company.
It's so easy to dunk on.
I think Crane and Company said something about this. Like, it's only women, at least in this instance, especially I think in more specific sports, that are bashing their own. Like they would rather them fail than succeed. I've never met a white guy want a black guy to fail, right? Or vice versa, right? Like I've never really seen that, like where it verbally becomes an issue, right? Like I think we've seen it a little bit, but never like, this is almost like, hey, Caitlin, we want you to fail because you actually live by standards and you were raised, I don't know, in a very good home in Iowa, which by the way, everyone, she's not living in like LA in like a high mansion.
Even with the salary she does have, she still doesn't have LA money.
No,
to live there without being broke.
She's literally living in like, she played basketball in her garage. That's the most American middle class thing ever, like,
vibes.
And that's the thing. Like, to me, at the end of the day, I'm so tired of liberal agendas seeping into the sports that I love to watch. And I believe that it's good that the WNBA is getting watched more because of what she has done in the game and how she's done it the right way and the way she holds herself. Now, she has an ego. It doesn't matter. Like she's doing it the right way. Like I think she's dating like the Iowa coach's son, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah. So like to me, it's like, if this is the points that you're going to make everything, and again, it goes back to even the Harrison Butker, I think the guy from the Chiefs, like he came out and said things, and now everyone's bashing him for it. But Andy Reid said it was the best thing. Andy Reid, and I think it applies to this too. Andy Reid's like, he's a good guy. He does his job, and you guys come in here and say a lot of things I don't like, but I let you say it, right? Like let people be people. Whatever they believe, let them believe. Because according to the left, we're supposed to believe a certain way that they believe, but when it comes to our tolerance and what we say, it has to be, it can't be what we say. It's not, our narrative is not okay. And like, to me, that's what's hard, because in sports, you have athletes who maybe are not guilty of something that they've been accused of by multiple people, or, you know, a lot of these other things, and it's causing so much pain and rift in sports. And poor Caitlin Clark is trying to play and also deal with all this other chaos that maybe she's paying attention, maybe she's not, but
it's definitely nothing
really,
she's asked for.
yeah, and it's just really, it makes me understand why I don't really watch mainstream sports shows anymore. I really don't, because to me, it's just become, how do we bash this white person because they're white, right? Like, that's what I feel like it's become. Like Nikola Jokic, how many times have we heard people, like so many people on media
Shaquille O'Neal
say,
doesn't think he should have an MVP because he's white. I think
I think that's
it
what
was
it
Shaq.
is. Yeah, no, it wasn't Shaq. It was
or was it Kendrick?
JJ, yeah, because JJ Redick went after him. Like, where does it say that you because he was using some stat, and Kendrick but started the stat in like 1992, but then JJ was like, yeah, but in 1991 Magic Johnson did this, and then you know, like the stats that whatever he was comparing doesn't make sense, right? And there was a bunch of other, you know, and that's the other thing. If you're upset with how people are, what they believe in, that is your right, right? Especially as Americans, that's your right to, you can have that opinion. But what we don't want is for our ears and our future kids and the kids right now, like, to be told like, hey, this person's bad because this is what they believe. You know, like, if LeBron James is white, is he viewed the same way? I don't know.
I don't know.
Apparently
he'd be loved even more,
according to some. But
if he
this
was a
is my
straight
thing:
white male.
If this is such a harsh thing, that it's so poorly bad, then how come the WNBA has broken many numbers on viewership? Their jerseys are selling out the wazoo. People are showing up to games, which, by the way, how many times have you heard the Crane Company joke about WNBA games, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is she doing? She's helping you earn those raises that you've been begging for.
You're tired of flying Spirit Airlines. You want private
charters.
jets.
There's now charters, like all these things that, yes, she's not a black person. She's not someone that is going to live the life that you want to live, but that is okay, because that's what America is, Josh. America is the land of so many different people, of so many different cultures, of so many different belief systems. And it's okay that you believe what you believe, but stop shoving it down our throats. Allow us to be American, which what the heart of America, Josh, it's liberty, it's freedom. And that's what's missing. And I'm so tired of these people. If you don't like living here, if you don't like the way it is, there are plenty of countries in South America, Africa, Asia that would love to have you come stay. I'm saying
you're
that
saying all this about like everybody having a right to believe what they believe, and you mentioned the Butker point, which I think is a little more valid here. But Caitlin Clark hasn't said anything controversial.
Exactly.
She's just been herself. She's been
living her life.
Living her life, playing basketball. I would guess is a pretty salt of the earth character.
Yeah.
Just trying to, have fun and play basketball and be a good role model. But since she's dating a guy and she's white, apparently that means that she can't do that, which to me makes no sense. You mentioned LeBron. Would he be more famous if he was white? Us little white boys looked up to a lot of black athletes.
A
lot of black athletes. We didn't look at the NBA and be like, okay, so the guys that we are going to root for are Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Jason Williams and Jason Kidd, I guess, because you can only root for people of your color. And we didn't go to baseball and be like, oh shoot, man, David Ortiz, Vladimir Guerrero, Albert Pujols, Jr. We can't root for these guys. Bummer. Like, nobody thinks that way. Nobody's looking at Caitlin Clark and saying because she's white, they're saying, oh, Caitlin Clark because she's the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, that we like her game and respect it. And then you got people like Diana Taurasi going on TV and saying she'll never make in this league. She's going to get tough or out toughed. And you got the previous female leading scorer in the NCAA, saying that she still has the record, and just so much pushback, even from the media, on Caitlin Clark. And it makes no sense. It's like, yeah, we would
Imagine
rather be bankrupt and unpopular if we get to have the league run by Black lesbians than just to be able to actually be in the limelight with all these other leagues and have nationally televised games and have the chartered flights, the private jets, the shoe deals, and the actually maybe get some players to a salary that has 7 figures on it. But no, it can't be that way because it's Caitlyn. It's just like, why do women hate watching other women succeed so much? I don't know.
and it's also
It's a
it's the same
stereotype
thing.
that seems to be more and more true.
It's the same thing with the transgender thing. It's on that same level. Like you are wanting women to have less chances, less opportunities. And for me, Josh, it's sad to see. I mean, thank goodness she's playing in the Indiana Fever. Like imagine she's playing in LA right now. It would be and this is the thing though. I truly believe that deep down that there are so many fans that are so happy to see a person who's down to earth and who is a real like believes in herself and is a great example for young girls. Like I feel like there are a lot of people even on the left that are like this is good. Because I think you're starting to see
Oh
more and more
yeah.
people on the left saying, you know, we're crazy. You know, and again, I'm not saying everything that we say is great either, but what I'm saying is though is that when Josh, when are we going to get back to sports being sports? Sports being that relaxation that you got away from your work, that job. Like I'm thinking about my job and like how football sometimes is a nice little thing to go do, and I don't have to think about my job. I want that to happen again. And unfortunately, with the Butker situation and even this situation, you know, it's a little different each way. But it's like, why can't these people go live their life? Why can't he go and send a commencement speech and
And
whatever he
say
said?
Catholic beliefs to a
Yeah,
Catholic crowd.
like I'm sorry, like I'm sorry, I didn't say anything that was directed to you, and if you want, like I always say, if you want to be gay, be gay. If you want to be transgender, like I'm all for people and their choices and what they believe, but just I don't want it to take away from the opportunities for others and for you to shoot it down our throats and that we don't matter anymore. Like our opinion doesn't matter. And that's what's happening to Caitlin Clark's situation. And I'm sure, I mean, even now, Trevor Bauer, it's a separate situation as well. But I mean, as of now, there are no guilty pleas, and yet the MLB doesn't want anything to do with them, right? Like,
Right.
so it's these kind of things that I'm going, we are hurting in different ways. And I wish sports would get back to being sports.
I will credit LeBron James. He said he doesn't understand the Caitlin Clark hate.
Which I give him credit because he's been known in the past to kind of jump on every bandwagon and go use his
Yeah, I
influence.
think that's just further proof that this is a women's hate,
Because
jealousy
even
fueled thing.
LeBron, like
Then
LeBron is praised like Jokic and Doncic. Like he's never like he doesn't bash them like because they're successful because they're white.
Mhm.
Like look at the NBA, Josh. I think most guys don't say much about this race stuff is because they realize that 95% of the NBA is not
Yeah, I mean,
anything but
off the
white.
court, they're all about the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. But on the court,
They're like, yeah,
yeah, they're like, we don't care what color you are. If you can play, you can play.
yeah, like and like that's why like the using the race card is not always the greatest thing to use in everything. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't racist people out there because there are. And that's what Josh and I are trying to say. We're not trying to say that there aren't people that are, judgmental and things like that. But what we're saying is allow the people that are good at the sport to be good at the sport. They just be really good at the sport.
It
Allow them
doesn't
to be
have to
that
be
way.
good for a white person or good for a straight person,
Hispanic. It
or they're only good because they fit this mold, or they're only popular because they got these traits.
Yeah, like just let them play the game and let them enjoy it and let them be role models to your young family. Because Josh, you talked about it. We grew up, right, Josh? Who was our favorite athletes? LeBron. I mean, you're
My
you're
favorite
from Cleveland
athletes,
area,
yep, all
you
pretty
know,
much not
and
white people.
and so what I'm saying is like we didn't care. We just wanted to be like them. We
Hmm.
wanted to be that standard. So why not be that standard? I think that's where it goes from there.
I agree. Um,
What well, we got passionate today, Josh.
a little
I've
passionate
never I don't
today,
think
all
we've had
basketball
this.
focused,
I
very
don't think we've
fitting for
had
the
this.
baseline.
I know, which has been so funny, by the way. I get comments about that all the time. Like, you guys never talk about basketball. I'm like, listen, there's always so much you can talk about basketball before it gets kind of like it's one of those sports that's just like after a while, it's just like unless you want to go into analysis, you know.
Yeah, which I'm not very good at.
No, but I will say this though: the Olympics coming up will allow us to expand a lot of what we're talking about, which will be really, really nice. So, anyways, down below, give us your thoughts on the Caitlin Clark situation. Also, give our thoughts on any other topics that we discussed. We'd love to hear your thoughts. It's always fun when I get messages from people that listen. They're like, "We disagree with you on this." I'm like, "I'm glad." It's great conversation. But anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Go watch the Guardians win probably a series this weekend. Watch the Reds get swept because that's what they do. And go spend time with family. I know it's coming up here on Memorial Day is coming up soon, so spend time with family as the holidays are rolling in, as the summer's rolling in. It's a great time. If you love this episode on YouTube, go click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Let us know how much you enjoy it. Again, comment below your ideas and thoughts on what we discussed today. And if you've been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you let us know how much you enjoy it. If my audio sounds amazing, if my voice does put you to sleep, that's okay, because that's what we do here. That's what Josh and I, that's our purpose. That's our main purpose, actually, is to be just medicine for your insomnia.
Some people play rain noises to go to sleep, and some people play the bass line to go to sleep, I guess.
That's sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I will admit that I have listened to us once when I was napping. And so now I understand I don't know why I did, but I just did. Maybe it's maybe your voice is that soothing to my head, Josh. But anyways, I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend, and until next time, we'll see ya.